My brother just got off the live, so I'm going back in. As y'all can see, they say I don't be outside. I just ain't the nigga that always show when I'm outside. They claim I be inside, but it's whatever. So I'm walking back in. This is inside. Pop this pimple on my face. That gave me access. Pool over there turned up. Yeah, let me walk through this hotel, man. Oh, it was online turned up. This music is going crazy. The music is going crazy. Give me a second. That music was crazy. All right. All right, let me switch over to my computer real quick. You look like a giant. I ain't no giant. I will be in Florida in November. I'm in Tampa delivering off delivered off of MLK. Hey, you delivered something off of MLK? That's what I'm talking about. Oh, mm-mm-mm. Man, TJ had me rolling, boy. I couldn't get on. I couldn't go live. Let me change out of these wet swim trunks real quick. Like I got to go hang these joints up so they don't get the sour on me. They say I dropped my location. I just said I was in Jacksonville. That's all I said. I ain't give my location. I ain't said I was at Willie Burger, did I? No, I ain't say that. And you don't know if I'm telling the truth or not. I could be in Pensacola. Yeah, I could be in Pensacola, Sarasota. I could be anywhere. Yeah, I could be any goddamn well. Wherever I'm at, God is with me. You know? And to God be the glory. I don't got no Baphomet thing on my chest and all this stuff that these other people got. I don't. I don't play with that type of stuff. No, I sure don't. Why? I mean, Dad came and brought the Charles and wife on in. I mean, put them over there. And let me sit over. Hey, let me get my little setup. Okay, they done dropped off my avocado toast and my chips. And so I'm gonna have to play this in between. I'm gonna have to eat this in between me playing the video. Hmm. Because we got a lot to talk about. Move that out the way. You heard that? Get me some get me some OJ and some champagne. Them boule videos are scary. I can only imagine what some of these unknown streamers had to do because celebrities, Lord help us. Man, listen, I don't know. I don't know what they had to do, but I don't look at it like they had to do nothing. They have a choice. And they didn't have to want to be that famous. See me, I'm okay with being a bust. You know what I mean? It's some people they just can't take being called names. You know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's what they forgot in school. They mama them taught them that. But so now everybody want to act like they so good and perfect because they don't want to be called a name. White people don't want to be called racist. Black folk don't want to be called a sellout or coon. So everybody's just playing nice to everybody because they don't want to be called a name. I don't give a fuck about no name. They've been calling me names so long, I think I'm immune to it. You know? Yeah, I think I've been getting called names so long, I'm immune to it. So I'm glad they started me off early calling me name. Everybody else can't be called no name. But you are you are what he say? He said, but you aren't a real true bust, Kwame. Ryan Leaf now, he was a bust. Check it here, crazy. Yeah, but they've been calling me names, you know, even before the bus tag, I've been called all kind of shit. Kuta Kente, goddamn Matumbo. I've been called all kind of stuff. Manute Bowl, God rest their soul. I've been called an African booty scratcher. I've been called black as soot, black as tar. You know, I done been called so many different names. It really don't even matter at this point. You know? You would think that by the time we got to adulthood, we have been done built up a callus for that. All the tall black Africans. Oh man, they didn't call me all kind of. It was some Africans I didn't even know their name. They didn't call me. But see, this is what I don't like though. When you turn around and catch fire on their ass, they don't want to count your win. They only want to be stuck at the hate. They don't want to count your motherfucking win. When you jump bad on their ass and you become the landlord, number one draft pick, all kind of other shit, they don't want to remember that part. The motherfuckers got the rigged scoreboard. They only want to tell you about some negative shit. They got a rigged ass scoreboard. All right, I got my platform right here, a little nigga rig. Let me see. Let me get it on this computer. I wonder should I eat on the computer? Let me enter the studio. Y'all saying I'm from Sudan? Every fucking time I go live. Yeah, every time I go live, 30,000 goddamn phone calls. I'm glad I'm a bus too. I'm going to the grocery store freely. Yeah, I'm glad I'm a bus. I get to walk on. Man, they leave me alone. I'm so glad I'm a bus. That's the best thing I could have been. A bus. Y'all see that? What that say right there, y'all? That say spiritual gangsters. Spiritual gangsters. That's what we need. Some spiritual gangsters. Shout out to spiritual gangsters. I picked this up on the island. Yeah. 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 You know what I mean? I Geechee. Yeah, spiritual gangsters around here. Man, I got this pimple. Where is that? I just bust that joint. That shit hurt like a mug, man. Dang. Damn, one by my eye right here. Damn. That shit hurt. What the fuck? You'd love to see. I'd love to see. What? What the? On a bed of flowers? Yeah, you want me on a bed of flowers for? Bust and pimple life. Y'all crazy as hell. Hey, check this out, man. They shooting. ICE. We're gonna start with the ICE report because that was fresh. We got what is this? Too much crime. Byron Donalds just said what? What was this? Byron Donalds grills the DC mayor. We can leave that for later. Oh Lord have mercy. They talking about hoeing laws. Lord have mercy. All right. So check this out. Let me see. Where is it at? It's right here. What it do, Kwame? Chilling. Staying out the way, but drama keep trying to find me, but I be ducking and slipping and dodging and moving, boy. That witch hazel, I need to find me some witch hazel. The news, KB, the news. Good afternoon, KB Mod. Salute to you. Man, oh man, I forgot to put this thing. Let me see if I can still do it while it's on. I'm gonna see if I can still do it while this is playing. Hey, look here, y'all. They shooting at ICE. Now ICE is designed to protect America by way of the president, and the border is definitely a federal issue. And so we got people in America that are congressmen and women that we got people in America that are congressmen and women that go against ICE, an organization that's there to do what the president asked them to do. So let's see what happened with all this rhetoric that they've been putting out about ICE. And I'm telling you, this is why words matter, and this is why all this stuff they saying is by design. They're radicalizing these American citizens. They're radicalizing these people by saying all this stupid stuff about ICE, about the president. They still saying Donald Trump is a dictator and this and this and that. It's going to incite these little incels that don't do anything but listen to these left-leaning news organizations. So they done unalive some ICE agents. Now this is crazy. You don't see none of this stuff. People might talk crap on the right or whatever, but you don't see them going out shooting at federal authority, federal agents. Who is crazy enough to shoot at federal agent? You about to see.
Yeah, Tricia McLaughlin, thank you so much for being here. You've had about, I think, 22 minutes since we last heard from you when you were on Fox and Friends. Is there any other information you have gathered that you could share with us now?
Dana, we want to give you guys as much information, the American public, as much information as we possibly can, but details are very much still emerging. Right now, we're praying for our law enforcement, for the detainees, and for the local law enforcement who is also on scene. We know that there were 3 fatalities, potentially detainees, not ICE law enforcement at this time, that there have been other injuries, and some individuals are in critical condition, and we'll get you that information as soon as possible. As far as the shooter goes, there was a self-inflicting gunshot wound, and he is dead. He's deceased. We believe that he was shooting at law enforcement and the detainees from an apartment building. Again, those details are still murky. It looked like it might have been a sniper or some sort of a long-form shot. But as soon as we have more information, we will give that out. But we do ask the American public, please join us in praying for the victims, for our law enforcement. You know, we've been shot.
Wait, so it might not have been an ICE agent, so I might need to unblock that person. Might need to unblock that person. Let's go back.
Very much still emerging. Right now, we're praying for our law enforcement, for the detainees, and for the local law enforcement who is also on scene. We know that there were 3 fatalities, potentially detainees, not ICE law enforcement at this time, that there have.
All right, so there's a correction. There were detainees. They were not ICE agents. So let me go unblock that person. They're detainees.
Been other injuries, and some individuals are in critical condition, and we'll get you that information as soon as possible. As far as the shooter goes, there was a self-inflicting gunshot wound, and he is dead. He's deceased. We believe that he was shooting at law enforcement and the detainees from an apartment building. Again, those details are still murky. It looked like it might have been a sniper or some sort of a long-form shot. But as soon as we have more information, we will give that out. But we do ask the American public, please join us in praying for the victims, for our law enforcement. You know, we've been saying for months that the rhetoric around our law enforcement, particularly ICE, the dehumanization, the demonization, has spun so far out of control, and that someone is going to get hurt or someone's going to get killed. And we hope that's not today, but this must stop. And I do have to know, almost a month to the date, at this Dallas ICE field office, we actually had a bomb threat there, a viable bomb threat. So we know that there has been really out of control rhetoric and threats against them. And please join us in praying.
Trish, we take a message to heart. Thank you for that. Let's try and work through it piece by piece here. Can you confirm that this gunman fired from the rooftop first? Let's start there.
I'm sorry, I think we're having a little bit of an audio issue. If you wouldn't mind repeating that.
Yeah, no problem. Can you confirm that the gunshots came from a rooftop nearby? And if so, at what distance?
That's what we're looking at right now, Bill. I cannot confirm what distance, but as soon as we have that information available, we will bring it to you.
So let me try another one here. Our sources out of Dallas and the police department down there are saying no law enforcement officials injured. I think that's what you said a moment ago. 3 shot, 2 dead. The victims were being led into the building to be processed, to be repatriated. I would assume that is people that ICE has picked up, either on the streets of Dallas or somewhere in the state of Texas.
We know our ICE law enforcement was not injured, but we're not sure about local security and other local law enforcement. That looks like there may have potentially been injuries there, but I can confirm that it looks like the detainees were among the victims.
Awkward question. How do you determine who was the target of these bullets? Was it the ICE agents or the detainees?
Either way, it's monstrous, but I think that this is something that Homeland Security Investigations is going to be looking at, as well as our partner law enforcement. We're going to get to the answers for the American people as soon as we can.
Tricia, one question about people who would be being led into this facility at this time of the morning. Are these people, in your experience, I know that you don't maybe not know specifically, but would these people be people that were just picked up overnight, or were they in process to be repatriated, deported, because they'd already been through their due process?
So this was not a detention facility. This is a field office. So this would be a short-term processing. So they would likely not have been on their way to being deported. It would be more likely, I can't speak to the exact specifics because it could be a case-by-case basis, but in this case, it's very likely that they had recently been arrested by ICE.
I see.
Okay, so Brooke Taylor confirms, our correspondent out of Dallas, says the following. I'll just read it. ICE Dallas, also now on the record, no agents or officers hurt. The shooter shot detainees on way. Our crew, rather, is en route to the scene there. Trish, when you talk about a field office, what happens there?
There's processing that happens there. Of course, this is where our brave men and women of ICE work. But again, I do remind viewers that it was just a month ago to the date that there was a viable bomb threat here. So this location, it looks like it's been targeted, and we don't know how long this individual has been planning this act. It looks like he could have been watching to look at the processing and see what happens on a day-to-day basis at this Dallas field office. But this is all answers that Homeland Security Investigation is going to get down to the bottom of.
Could we zoom out, Tricia, and tell me a little bit what you know about the possible bomb threats or threats across the country, where you're seeing them the most? We mentioned a few places, Massachusetts, Los Angeles, Chicago, but are there others? And maybe the scope and the scale of the threats that you are dealing with on a daily basis and trying to figure out, is this a real threat, is it not? I know you take all threats seriously, but I'm sure that all of these threats have ramped up in the last 9 months, and I'm curious what the scope and scale is so that our audience can understand how seriously you take it and how widespread the problem is.
Absolutely. Our law enforcement are facing a 1,000% increase.
But who shoots at an ICE facility? Now, and a bullet don't have no face. So this bullet could have hit a police officer. It could have hit anybody in there. Who is crazy enough to shoot at an ICE facility? What would drive somebody to shoot at an ICE facility? That's not going to help the people get out. That's going to make it worse. Why in the world would you do something like that? And they want to make it this civil unrest under Donald Trump so they can say, look, none of this stuff happened under Obama. So this has to be a thing with Trump. I don't look at it as a thing with Trump. I need to put that light on over there. I don't look at it as a thing with Trump. I look at it as a thing with people. That's a thing with people. I just saw his name was, what's that? Josiah Jan. And he unalived himself. I'm sorry, but I blame the CIA for any chaos that's going on now. All this stuff fishy. It's more of the same. As soon as they don't like what's going on the left, that seems like violence ensue. The right, they say all this rhetoric that they're going to do. They don't seem to do it. But next thing you know, when the left get in office, because when Obama won, ain't nobody do nothing. Everybody was chilling. Trump get in office, nobody don't like it. So instead of saying, you know what, we got to deal with it, this is the president, everybody get in the streets and go crazy every single time.
Assaults against them. That's just day-to-day doing their job. DHS is a law enforcement agency, and they're simply enforcing the law, that's on the books. What we're seeing is it's not just our officers as well. It's their family members are being doxxed, their children where they go to school, their spouses where they work. It's going on places like Rhetoric, the dark web. It's a very ugly thing. And as far as where we're exactly seeing these threats, we just saw out of Chicago over the weekend, we saw riots around one of our field offices, one of the processing centers for ICE. We saw our law enforcement were being pummeled with cans. They were being assaulted. Their car tires were being slashed. And of course, we see this out of Portland increasingly, and then out of Los Angeles recently with the surge in federal resources there. I mean, I think a lot of viewers will remember there was actually a protest or a riot where they started shooting at our law enforcement. It's absolutely unacceptable. And I do think it's incumbent really upon the media, upon politicians. We got to turn the rhetoric down. We don't want anyone to be hurt. We don't want anyone to get killed. This is an awful day.
Wise words. Trish, give us a better sense about how ICE is operating in a state like, let's just take Texas. Like, how many field offices would there be in Dallas? And if you're a detainee, let's say, and you're brought to this area and you're processed, where do you go from that field office? And how long does it take to be on a plane and to be sent back to a country that perhaps you came from?
Well, it's very much a case-by-case basis. We're trying to, make this process as seamless and less onerous, not just for the migrant themselves, but also for federal resources. So we try to get these detainees from the facility to a detention center that's close geographically as well, likely places that have the ability to transport people from that detention facility back to their home country or back to the country that they will ultimately live after they've gone through due process in the proper immigration system.
Okay, I don't want to be so particular about this, but I really think, like, the American public, we're just trying to understand, like, how ICE operates. And this is a really good case here that you could help explain, the system and how it works. So I assume if you're a migrant, you're here illegally, and you're wanted for, a crime maybe in this country or another country, that you would be taken to this field office. And from the field office, what do you have your case heard? Are you taken to this Prairie Land facility that we mentioned a short time ago? Like, how does this all come together? How's it working?
Yeah, again, it is a case-by-case basis. So some of them will be there for average is about 72 hours, but it could certainly be longer. Ultimately, they would be in that detention facility, and that's the last place that they would be before, like you mentioned, Prairie Land. That's the last stop before that they would head home to their home country via a deportation flight. So we absolutely want to give the men and women who are watching really the details on how ICE works, because there has been such dehumanization, and people forget this is a law enforcement agency. This is what the men and women of Congress determine the laws and pass the laws. We're just enforcing them. We're just carrying them out. It's sad, Bill. That's why our men and women of ICE have to wear masks, because they're targeting.
So for doing the job of America, they have to wear masks to be targeted because they're getting targeted. What happened to not separating men and women from their families? What happened to not putting people at risk for doing their job? It seems like somebody trying to start something. A member for 40 months. Deandra, what is that? Deandra? TG conservative? Absolutely, it seems like somebody trying to start something. Absolutely. In my opinion, ICE is just doing the job. If ICE is breaking the law, why won't they say ICE is breaking the law? They just don't like the fact that ICE is doing their job. For the people in the back, she's going to break it down again. They asked her a question. Let her break it down again.
Yeah, again, it is a case-by-case basis. So some of them will be there for average is about 72 hours, but it could certainly be longer. Ultimately, they would be in that detention facility, and that's the last place that they would be before, like you mentioned, Prairie Land. That's the last stop before that they would head home to their home country via a deportation flight. So we absolutely want to give the men and women who are watching really the details on how ICE works, because there has been such dehumanization, and people forget this is a law enforcement agency. This is what the men and women of Congress determine the laws and pass the laws. We're just enforcing them. We're just carrying them out. It's sad, Bill. That's why our men and women of ICE have to wear masks, because they're targeting members of the cartels, members of vicious gangs, and otherwise criminal rings. And they're being targeted, and their families are being doxxed. And that's how they need to not show their identities while they carry out these operations.
That actually leads me to something I was asking Bill about, but I'll throw it to you, because we're just trying to figure all of this out. For somebody like one of these detainees that's going into a facility, would it be known that they're going to be there at that time?
Well, they certainly have access to phones and to legal counsel. They can call family members. So, I mean, and potentially even friends. So I think that there's, most of the time that these individuals, their family and friends and likely associates know where they are at the time.
Mm-hmm.
How would you characterize the level of cooperation that you've had from the authorities in Texas when compared to some other states that may have right now resist?
They're fantastic. The local and state government in Dallas have just been phenomenal. The law enforcement to work with, they've been very quick to respond. I mean, my phone in my lap is buzzing as we're speaking, going back and forth with our ICE law enforcement who are on the ground, and we're trying to get more details.
Paul said, very fishy. They still can't find the bullet from Charlie Kirk's unaliving. Candace Owens is covering a lot of this stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check out Candace. He said, stay on it, Candace. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
And, really make sure that all of our field offices across the country, all of ICE's detention centers across the country are safe and secure, not just for our law enforcement, not just for our security and the staff, but for these migrants themselves.
Tricia, you have been incredibly generous with your time. I was going to ask you maybe one more question and then we're going to let you go and gather more information, because you are as transparent a person I've ever seen, being able to provide what you know and to be very clear about what you do not know. And that right now we are still gathering that information. I know that the recruitment for ICE has been through the roof. And I know that there are many more resources that Department of Homeland Security has in order to fund that recruitment. Has there been a sense of any concern about those who are coming on board, that they might personally be concerned about their own safety if they decide to join ICE?
Well, of course, I think we have been pretty clear that it is a dangerous job. These men and women really are patriots, and when they get up every single day to take on the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens. But Americans are answering the call, and they know what the president's mandate is and what the American people's mandate is to get really vicious criminal illegal aliens out of our country. Dana, just in the last 250 days, we've arrested more than 600 known or suspected terrorists, around 3,000 members of Tren de Aragua out of the interior of our country. And I think that these men and women who've applied, which there's more than 151,000 of them, which is just remarkable considering we were set out to recruit 10,000 when we've gotten 151,000 applications. They recognize that call, and they want to defend our homeland, and they want to make their community safer.
Trish, thank you for your
Thank
time. We may call on you again. We're going to be here for a couple hours, okay? Appreciate you coming on today and helping us.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kill.
So that was real time. They shot at an ICE facility. They didn't hit any ICE officers. I thought they hit any ICE officers, but again, I was wrong about that. They did not hit any ICE officers, but the act of shooting at an ICE facility, in my opinion, is just as bad, because you can hit anybody. Bullet don't got no name on it. Anybody in there can get killed or unalive. So let's go to this next video where we got Piers Morgan and Don Lemon. They're going to have it out real quick. I thought this was hilarious. Piers is a beast, boy. He got him. I mean, he cooked Don Lemon. Don Lemon, in my opinion, he turned into playing the victim like he always do. He tried to get hostile, say he don't want to argue, but make sure it's an argument by arguing like he was and over talking. It was a very simple question, but let's go.
Introduction, but it's great to see you.
We were both greatly lamented ex-CNN anchors. In fact, we shared an office. You took my old office. I feel like we've got a lot in history together. Your reaction to Charlie Kirk's murder has stirred up a lot of anger on people on the right, particularly the clip we just heard where you talk about them not really caring about what happened to him and just reacting for clicks, crying for clicks and so on. I've interviewed quite a few people who are on the conservative right who knew Charlie Kirk well. I've not detected any of that myself. I do think that they were genuinely, utterly horrified by what happened. Do you not think that what you said there was insensitive?
No, I don't. I'm surprised because I was actually taking up for Charlie Kirk. I was taking up for him as someone who died a horrible, untimely death, and that there are people who are out here trying to capitalize off of his death. I don't think it's that much different than what his friend, who is his confirmed friend, Candace Owens, is saying about folks who are using it for political and for career expediency. There are those who are doing it, and there are those who are not. And if you are not, then I don't think anyone who's not doing it took any offense to it. There's an old saying here in America: a hit dog will holler. So the folks who I felt a certain kind of way, and that I touched with that statement or those statements, then perhaps they should take a look at themselves. And by the way, as you know, Piers, you've been a victim of this. Many of us have been a victim to this. You take a clip, you do a short clip that is out of context, and then you make it into something that you want it to be rather than what I said. I don't see many people on the right at all of me running clips of me saying, I think, it was horrible what happened to Charlie Kirk. It should never have happened. I feel terrible for his wife and his kids. The kids are fatherless. She does not have a husband right now. I don't believe in political violence at all, whether it comes from the right or the left. No one played those clips. What they did was take someone like me that they can demonize. They feel that I'm on the left. As you know, Piers, we work together. I'm not on the left. I am not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not on the right either. I have my own mind, and I make up my mind, and I decide on issues based on what I believe in and based on facts, not a certain political ideology.
Well, look, I would say that you're clearly a lot more left than right, surely. I mean, I've never heard you espouse a conservative sentiment.
I am a lot more fact-based than I am anything. And so I don't believe you are free to think that I'm on the left. And perhaps in this time that we're in now with the Trump administration and with MAGA, perhaps facts are on the left. And if you deem that being on the left, then so be it. I don't see myself as being a political figure or a figure who's on the left.
It's interesting. It's interesting your characterization about facts, because I would argue.
Why is Don Lemon lying? Like, he's sitting up here talking about he don't see himself as somebody on the left. Really? All of your talking points throughout all of these years, you've been on the left, but now all of a sudden, you don't see yourself on the left. Like, come on, dog. Like, at least be real. Don't lie. Be real with the situation. You definitely on the left. Charlie Kirk, the UN situation and the ICE attack. So, like, I don't know why this dude is lying. Just be honest.
But one of the reasons Trump got reelected against all the odds, if you think about what happened after January 6th and everything else, the fact that he got reelected, I always felt was three-pronged, right? One was immigration. I think Biden completely dropped the ball with immigration, particularly on the southern border. Second, the economy. And thirdly, the whole woke issue, the whole woke culture. And in particular, I would say, the issue, for example, of trans athletes in women's sport, which is, to me, if you're talking about facts, it is something that most Americans looked at and went, you know what, this is ridiculous. How can you deny biological reality? How can you go against scientific fact? So many would argue that it was the Democrats who lost track of facts and moved into a slightly strange, surreal place where they were trying to deny stuff, which most Americans went, well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Look, I would not qualify it the way that you're qualifying it. I do believe that you have a point about the Democratic Party not understanding the moment that we're in, that America's in right now. As far as trans athletes, I think that was, although I understand to certain people, it is a big deal. It is such a minute, small percentage of the population, and the trans athletes that are actually in schools and that are competing in competitions. It's so minor. It affects so few Americans. I'm shocked that it was used to the level that it was in the election, and to great success. And so I must commend the Republicans on an issue that wasn't really an issue for most Americans, that they made it into something that helped to catapult this president into office. Now,
you see, I've heard a lot of Democrats using that argument. And I've said to them, one of the most effective, I'm not saying you're a Democrat, I'm just saying I've heard a lot of Democrats say it. And my argument to them has been, yeah, but I don't, the New York Times reported that the they-them ad that Trump put out, which gathered momentum and then became used more and more and more, was one of the most effective.
I think it was extremely successful.
It was one of the most successful modern political adverts, because it cut to the point, I think, again, about common sense, that most Americans actually, maybe they don't have it in their top 5 things they care about. I would absolutely accept that. But when you actually ask them, do you think this is fair? Do you think it's right? Do you think it's equal? Do you think it's good that women's rights would be eroded? They actually then do get quite exercised about it. Hello and welcome to Definitive Stories in Culture Sense.
Over trans rights, I don't think it... Look, Piers, I'm not here to argue over trans rights. I don't think it necessarily cut to the argument of common sense. I think they simply found an issue that they could capitalize on based on fear or some perceived religious value or what have you. So I'm not going to sit here and demonize trans people, trans women, or trans men, because I just don't think that is fair and that is productive in this moment. I'm not going to go back and litigate why Donald Trump won and on the issue of trans. We simply disagree on that. I think it affects so few people. I think it was something that was blown out of proportion. And while there may be some people who are affected by it, and if they are, I'm sorry that happens, but happens. But I just don't think that was an issue that focuses.
So when you see, for example, in the Paris Olympics, when you saw Imam Khalif, an Algerian boxer who had been banned from the World Championships for testing positive for male chromosomes. When you saw a young female Italian boxer quit after 40 seconds because she'd never been hit that hard and genuinely feared for her life, and Imam Khalif goes on to win gold medal at the Olympics. Does that not ring an alarm bell for you, Don? I mean, do you not think that the reason we separate sexes in the Olympics is because males have an advantage? I mean, why would you not think that's important?
Do you want me to tell you the truth? Let me tell you, Piers, I'll tell you the truth about this. I heard about this story, but it's not something that I focus on. I'm not watching the Olympics like that. Maybe I'm different.
If you want to see media training, that is media training. When they ask you a real question, I didn't see it. I don't know anything about it. I didn't see that. Now that you know the information, smart as you talk, Don Lemon, you can't formulate an opinion on it on the fly, and just tell us, how does it make you feel that a woman who gets in there, that's brave enough to put them up against another woman, so she's not fearful of being hit, that she's brave enough to get in there, and that this person tested with the same chromosomes as a man and get hit. This woman got hit so hard that she quit. No mas. And you can't formulate an opinion about that, or whether you think that's okay. You know why you can't formulate an opinion? Because you want another job. And you know that saying that, no, I feel bad about that, or I feel like I don't care about that. Either way you go, you're going to be judged by that. So you're going to take the plausible deniability of, oh, I didn't see it. I know nothing about it. Like, come on, man, that's crazy. Sun Kiss became a member. Salute. Thank you. Thank you. That's crazy. I bet you Don Lemon probably, I ain't going to say that because he might try to sue me, but, you know, he acts like a female. He thinks I don't know what he identifies as, but, you know, I don't know. Maybe he don't see it as a bad thing.
I'm not that interested in watching everything. I like to watch the swimming. I like to watch the gymnasts. I'm not interested in boxing or any of that because I think it's a brutal sport anyway. So for me, it's just not that interesting. I'm sorry that anybody was hit that hard, but if you put yourself in the arena to be hit and someone hits you hard, then whose fault is that?
Well, you expect to be hit by other women, not men.
Holy shit. So you blaming the victim. You blaming a woman. So she put herself in there to be hit by another woman. She agreed to go in there and fight another woman. She didn't agree to go fight a man. What you talking about? So if that's the case of what he's saying, there's no through line to it, because I'm a guy. So you telling me I could just wake up tomorrow and say I'm a female and then I can start fighting female? Is that what we're saying? Jesus Christ. Man, salute to you, beautiful one. I appreciate that. That is crazy. Man, it take people, beautiful one be keeping me going, boy, because they want to shut me down because I be saying shit about stuff like this. And you ain't supposed to say stuff about stuff like this. I was the #1 draft pick. You supposed to shut up. You notice you don't see other people talking about stuff like this. They stay far away from this topic right here. They don't say it's okay. They don't say it's not okay. They just say, I don't speak on that.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know.
Well, when men hit women, we call it.
I'm sure she saw. I'm sure whoever was in that competition understood who they were going into the ring with. And if you put yourself in that competition in the middle of a ring where punches are being thrown, then you can expect to get hit hard, whether it is a man or a woman. And that's all I have to say about that.
So you would have no objection to men fighting women in a boxing ring?
I did not say that. I just said that's all I have to say about that.
But isn't that the implication of what you're saying?
No, I've said in many different ways. That's all I have to say about that.
Right. I'm just trying to clarify. Isn't that women in a boxing
and or in the middle of a ring where understood who they were going into the ring with? And if you put yourself in that competition in the middle of a ring where punches are being thrown, then you can expect to get hit hard, whether it is a man or a woman. And
so Don Lemon is saying that if you decide to get in the ring with a man or a woman, because he said man or a woman. So whether it's a man or a woman, ladies, if you get in that ring, then you deserve to get pummeled. So if a woman get in the ring with me, I'm not supposed to say that this is a woman. I'm not going to hit a woman. I'm not going to do that. I'm supposed to treat her like a man and fight her
like a man. I'm supposed to be. This is what Don Lemon is saying. I'm gonna let him play it again.
And understood who they were going into the ring.
Look, long as you understand. So if you understand you getting in the ring with me, then yes, it can go down.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know.
Well, when men hit women, we call it.
I'm sure she saw. I don't know that. I don't know.
Well, when men hit women, we call it.
I'm sure she saw. I'm sure whoever was in that competition understood who they were going into the ring with. And if you put yourself in that competition in the middle of a ring where punches are being thrown, then you can expect to get hit hard, whether it is a man or a woman. And that's all I have to say about that.
So you would have no objection to men fighting women in a boxing ring?
I did not say that. I just said that's all I have to say about that.
But isn't that the implication of what you're saying?
No, I've said in many different ways, that's all I have to say about that.
Right. But I'm just trying to clarify what you just said about the boxing. Are you saying it's okay for men to beat up women?
I think I've been very clear. That's all I have to say. I think I've been very clear to you. That's all I have to say.
Well, you
about
have.
it.
I'm just
if
a bit startled by
back if you don't understand.
No, I'm just startled by what I think I just heard, which is you seem to think it's okay for men to hit women in a boxing ring. Is that what you said? Clarify.
I didn't say. I don't think it's okay for men to hit women anywhere.
So why would it be okay in a boxing ring?
Well, again, I didn't say it's okay in a boxing ring. I just said that's all I have to say about it. I don't think it's okay for men to hit women.
So
anywhere.
then it sounds like you agree with me that biological men should not be competing against women in a boxing ring.
Piers, no matter how hard you try to, I told you, that's it.
It's not a gotcha question.
I'm not agreeing with you.
It's not a gotcha question.
I'm not saying it's a gotcha question. I'm just saying that I am done with this particular conversation. I don't think that it is productive. I've said what I said, and I'm not changing it. I don't agree with you. That's it.
But if you were doing your old show at CNN.
What he said was confusing. 1 minute he said if a woman agreed to get in the ring, then it is what it is. She get hit by a man or a woman, she got hit. Next minute he said he don't agree with a man hitting a woman anywhere. So how is that standing on? He's a double talking person. How is that standing on anything you saying? You double talking. But hey, let's move past it.
Then you would have listened to your own response and gone, what exactly did he mean by that?
I probably would have said, okay, that's what you said, and then I would move on.
Okay, we'll move on. You've criticized the MAGA right for turning Charlie Kirk into a martyr. You said if a black man on the left went around saying what Kirk said, the right wouldn't consider him a hero. It's an interesting point. Let's take a listen.
Saying white women do not have brain processing power and are stealing jobs from black men, the right would fucking lose their minds. Mark Lamont Hill, Roland, Michael Eric Dice. Let's say these brothers, or Bakari Sellers, or someone like that. If they went around saying some shit like that, they would be canceled immediately. They would be fired. People would scrub them from their whatever business that they work for. Or if they said, when I get on a plane and I see a white pilot, I'm like, damn, we're gonna, I'm worried.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've seen that blow up a lot in the last few days.
Do they have like a dog whistle out with everybody saying the same lie over and over again? Because I could have sworn we went over the videos of what he said, and that's not what he said. So I told you these are some script reading. When I first came out, I told y'all, it's easy to spot this stuff now. When they are repeating the same talking point on every news station, that's how you know they have passed out a script, and these are some script reading, because they know by the time it hits the mainstream and regular common folk hear it, they're only going to grab the little sound bite that their favorite person that they like said. Don Lemon said this. Roland Martin said that. I watched such and such, and he said that Charlie Kirk said this. They never say, let me go and see exactly what Charlie Kirk said. They all take the soundbite of what a person that they like said, and that's it. That's it. That's all. So now Don Lemon, this is supposed to be a journalist, though. He can't do that. He's not supposed to do that. A journalist is supposed to actually say what somebody said. They're supposed to report unbiasedly on the actual news if you're going to be a good journalist. He is not a good journalist. This man is a left-leaning lunatic, if you ask me. A journalist does not mess up words that are simple to see. I didn't go to college, but I can easily hear that that's not what Charlie Kirk said. But if you want to push some bullshit, then that's what you say he said. Is that the clean light? Who is it?
So I went back and actually watched exactly what Charlie Kirk
Where are you
said.
watching all this? I haven't seen any of this blow up that you're talking about.
Oh yeah, it's been everywhere. Everyone's been showing clips of Charlie Kirk all week on social media.
I have not seen it. I guess
Okay.
maybe I'm just not on social media.
I mean, what's interesting is when you watch it all in context, it's a discussion that is prompted by the fact that Joy Reid, who you know well, had admitted she only got into Harvard because of DEI. So he said it all in the context of her revealing that, and which I think changes the impact of what he was saying. He wasn't just coming out with this. He was saying, there's Joy Reid admitting that she only got into Harvard because of DEI.
Mm-hmm. What's your question?
So my question is, you've cited that example of him just unilaterally saying,
They never research, just repeat. Salute KB, salute OG, member for 43 months.
black women don't have the brain processing power to Harvard, just coming out with it, feeling that to Harvard because of DEI. It's interesting week on.
I haven't seen any of this blow up that you're talking about.
Oh yeah, it's been everywhere. Everyone's been showing clips of Charlie Kirk all week on social media.
I have not seen it. I guess
Okay.
maybe I'm just not on social media.
I mean, what's interesting is when you watch it all in context, it's a discussion that is prompted by the fact that Joy Reid, who you know well, had admitted she only got into Harvard because of DEI. So he said it all in the context of her revealing that, and which I think changes the impact of what he was saying. He wasn't just coming out with this. He was saying, there's Joy Reid admitting that she only got into Harvard because of DEI.
What's your question?
So my question is, you've cited that example of him just unilaterally saying black women don't have the brain processing power and so on. But when you actually watch the whole clip in context, that's not what he said.
You were making my point about the clip before, and which is the same point about the clip now that you played of me, where the context is explained, which is he was talking about not only Joy Reid, Sheila Jackson Lee, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. And it wasn't DEI that they were referring to. They were having discussions about affirmative action and about qualified people, qualified women.
But that's not what you said, though, Don Lemon. You said he didn't like black women. You went as a whole of making it seem like he said this about black women as a whole, and then you compared it that if white men was to say this, that they would be canceled and they would be stripped from their jobs. So let's go back and play what you said.
Saying white women do not have brain processing power and are stealing jobs from black men, the right would fucking lose their minds. Mark Lamont Hill. Roland.
See, you said white women like he said black women, like he made a blanket statement of black women because he was talking about 4 black women. See, you are of the liberal mindset that there's black leaders in the black community because we're too stupid to govern ourselves. So you think Ketanji Brown, you think Michelle Obama, you think Joy Reid, you think these women are leaders of our community and that everybody in our community listens to Joy Reid and all of these people. And so that's why you're so offended. That's why they're making our whole community offended by something they shouldn't even be offended by. That's why. That's exactly why you're making our community like that. And that's not the case. We're not a monolith. Those are not our leaders. They just happen to be black women. And those are the 4 black women that don't have nothing to do with the whole race of black women. You psycho you.
Michael Eric Dice. Let's say these brothers are Bakari Sellers or someone like that. If they went around saying some shit like that, they would be canceled immediately. They would be fired. People would scrub them from their whatever business that they work for. Or if they said, when I get on a plane and I see a white pilot, I'm like, damn, we're going to, I'm worried.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've seen that blow up a lot in the last few days. So I went back and actually watched exactly what Charlie
Where are you
said
watching?
all week. When you watch it all, you know well, had revealing that, and which Reid admitting that she only got into Harvard because of DEI.
Mm-hmm. What's your question?
So my question is, you've cited that example of him just unilaterally saying black women don't have the brain processing power and so on. But when you actually watch the whole clip in context, that's not what he said.
You were making my point about the clip before, and which is the same point about the clip now that you played of me, where the context is explained, which is he was talking about not only Joy Reid, Sheila Jackson Lee, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. And it wasn't DEI that they were referring to. They were having discussions about affirmative action and about qualified people, qualified women of color who were offered opportunities or given opportunities that they may not have been given if it were not for affirmative action. And nothing to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so what he said, and I watched the clip, he said that what they were admitting to is that they were somehow a DEI hire and so on, and about brain processing power. I would suggest that you go back and listen to the clip that clip in context of what he was saying. He clearly said what he said, and I guess because of political ideology or because of bias, people are trying to interpret it and make it into something else. That is not what he said. Okay, he was very clear about the brain processing or lack of brain processing power for black women, or for those black women.
With Charlie Kirk's death, a lot of people on the left have come out.
Listen to his wordplay. He said he was definitely talking about brain processing power for black women, and then he changed it to those black women. We don't give a shit what his opinion is on particular black women. I don't know why people are trying to outrage every black person over one white man's opinion over a few black women. That don't have nothing to do with everybody else. That don't even make no sense, Don. Are you doing that for every black girl across America? No. You have an elitist mind state, and you think Joy Reid, you think Ketanji, you think Michelle, you think they're leaders. That's the only reason why you're crying. You would not have said anything if he said something about Candace Owens, somebody you don't like that's black. You wouldn't have said nothing. So now all of a sudden, you want to have some fake outrage that a person had an opinion over 4 black women who admitted that if it wasn't for certain stipulations, affirmative action, that they wouldn't have got into certain schools. They admitted this. So if that's the case, then white people go up to other black people and say, well, damn, did you earn it? Did you earn it? Because you're going to get through with a loophole and then talk the most shit. Joy Reid got educated through a loophole, and then now she's talking the most shit about the white people who educated her. How does that make any sense? You would think she would be thankful, or at least go to a HBCU, which is funded by white people. So all this racist shit y'all keep putting in our head, even the HBCUs wouldn't have enough money if it wasn't for this no good white people that we should not like as a whole. If it wasn't for HBCUs getting funded by the same white people you hate, there would be no HBCUs. So I'm confused. Are all we supposed to do is band together and argue and talk shit? If we're not going to fund our own HBCUs and or be thankful when somebody else do it, then what the fuck? This shit is crazy.
Black women, or for those black women.
With Charlie Kirk's death, a lot of people on the left have come out gleefully celebrating what happened. A lot of people have been posting stuff on social media, very happy. And they've turned out to be teachers, professors, doctors, nurses. I mean, people in extraordinary positions of power over other human beings. What should happen to those people?
Well, I think we should look at every circumstances. It should be taken on the circumstances should be taken on their own merit, and what should happen to them should be taken, on individual merit. We should look at each of them. Now, I don't believe that anyone should be celebrating anybody's death at all, ever. And I don't think anyone should be celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. We know, and you know, Piers, that freedom of speech does come with consequences, and there are limits, there are limitations to freedom of speech. And if you work for a private company, they have the right to fire you or discipline you for whatever it is that they want. If you break the rules, their codes of conduct, then you have to suffer the circumstances. So look, I 100% unequivocally believe that no one should be celebrating anything. And if any of those people broke the rules of their employer, their codes of conduct, then they should be disciplined or fired if it warrants it.
Do you agree?
But I don't believe in canceling people.
Right.
I think there's a lot of cancellation going on the right now, and I'm not comfortable with it.
Do you feel?
I wasn't comfortable with it on the left either.
Right. Do you feel you were a victim of cancel culture at CNN?
I probably, I don't think, I'd look at everything as an opportunity. Probably, yes. I'm sure that I was a victim of cancel culture, but I would say mostly on the right for cancel culture.
For those who don't know what I'm talking about, this is what led to you leaving.
Now, this is where it's going to get tricky. He said, yeah, I say I was a victim of cancel culture, but mostly on the left. I mean, on the right, cancel culture. Now, everything he says out of his mouth is to direct it bad at the right, but he wants you to believe he's not left. He just down the middle. But everything he says, he thinks he got canceled by the right when he got canceled by the left. So Piers is going to play the video. Piers set him up real nice with this one.
I don't think, I'd look at everything as an opportunity. Probably, yes. I'm sure that I was a victim of cancel culture, but I would say mostly on the right for cancel culture.
For those who don't know what I'm talking about, this is what led to you leaving CNN. Let's take a look at the clip.
She says people, you know, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s. So I got another.
I'm not saying I agree with that. So I think she has to be careful about saying that.
When you watch that, Don, I happened to be watching that live, and I was like, "Whoa, what did you just say?" Do you? I mean, if you had a do-over, would you say that again? I mean, what led you to say that?
Piers, let me just say this. I'm going to answer your question, but just so the audience knows, and I hope you don't cut this out. When I asked you what subjects you wanted to talk about, you know what you said to me? You said, I want to talk to you about freedom of speech in America and the response to Charlie Kirk's death.
Yeah. Not
once did you mention that we were going to talk about CNN or whatever. So, and had I known that, I probably wouldn't have accepted this interview.
He got fired for saying something that you can Google. It says when is a woman in her prime? It says a woman is likely at her physical peak in her early 20s, but she won't reach the peak of her career or intellect until her 40s and 50s. So he said something that he Googled and it got his ass fired. Hey, Don, you was definitely a victim of cancel culture, but I think it's on the left. Hey, men been telling y'all this for the longest. That's why mostly men date younger women. Well, women now are dating younger men, but it's a fertility thing. Men date younger women so that they can bore children. You know, not underage women. That's stupid. But we're talking about younger, 25, whatever. When Leonardo DiCaprio, they date the women in their 20s. That's their most fertile for their physical peak. And so that's just common sense. When I was 20, I was humping like a jackrabbit. Now I'm in my 40s. I'm not. So that's just common sense. I don't know what the hell the offense is, but Don Lemon, you created this world where you can't say anything, and you got fired because of this world that you can't say anything in. And now you're being asked, would you say something different, even if you can Google this shit? And yeah, Don, you were definitely canceled by the left. As those white women was like, huh? What did you say? They challenged you right away, Don.
You have invited me on many times, and I tell you, Piers, I know you. I would come on your show, but I don't do panels. And so when you said I'm not going to be involved in a panel, I agreed to come on your show. But I thought you would also stick by the subjects that you told me that you were going to talk about.
Just to be clear,
rather than try to ambush me with something.
Just to be clear, so, you and I haven't.
Yes, some do date them for lust and all that, but Omarion married a younger girl. You know, he married her. You can agree or not agree, but that's his wife. Well, I think that might be his ex-wife now, but that's his wife. He didn't do the Drea. He didn't not marry her and have a baby mama. He married her. So, see, hey, whatever they do, they do.
Well, John, just to be clear, you and I haven't had any conversation about your appearance here. You're talking about my team talking to you?
Yeah, no, and I saw you, Piers, in a restaurant, and I said, hey, Piers, good to see you. Yeah. I would come on your show, but I don't do panels.
Right.
And I said the same thing to your bookers.
There's only one
and
of
so
you
when
don't.
I asked you, and right, okay, and so, yes, and I said, that's why I agreed to do it. But when you asked me, or when your team asked me.
That's his damn name, Marcus Houston, not Omarion. Marcus Houston. You're right, absolutely right. Marcus Houston, not Omarion. My bad. Marcus Houston, don't get mad at me. Marcus Houston got the Chinese black girl. I mean, Omarion got the Chinese and black baby mama. Marcus Houston got the younger baby mama.
And I asked them 2 or 3 times, I have the text messages, what do you want to cover? Yep. Not once was CNN mentioned. So I don't appreciate being ambushed, but let me answer your question.
Hang on one second. No, Don, hang on 1 second. Let's just be crystal clear about what's just happened. You brought up the subject of cancel culture. I asked you, did you feel your departure from CNN was an example of that? And you answered the question. And I think it's perfectly reasonable.
And I answered the question.
Perfectly reasonable in that if you said to me, I don't want to talk about it, fine. No, but sorry. You said what you're going to say. By the way, we don't.
Disingenuous.
Don, we don't edit.
I don't like arguing like this. I'm not going to get into an argument with.
So now it's an argument. Yeah, he said he was ambushed. He was ambushed by his own video. He was ambushed by him saying that he was a victim of cancel culture, but he was trying to push it that it was on the right. And he would have let that stand. He played the video of how he got canceled. And he said something else that was stupid too, though. He said something about Vivek. I think he said, I remember him saying something about Vivek Ramaswamy, about he don't care what country he's from. I'm going to have to find that video. He said something else that got him, it really put the nail in his coffin. He said two things back to back. He said something about women, and he said something about Vivek or somebody. My memory obviously is losing. I'm losing my damn memory. But it's somebody else he said something about. Francis or somebody, let me know. Did he say something about Vivek? He said something about somebody else, about their nationality. And I think that's what it ultimately got his ass fired.
Argument with you. Piers, I think that's completely disingenuous. And I think anyone watching that.
What are you talking about?
And so if you will allow me, please.
What are you talking about?
Okay. Did you invite me here to interrupt me, or are you going to let me?
I think you're being a complete dick, if I'm honest with you.
Okay.
I do.
Well, that's very kind and respectful of you.
It wasn't intended to be kind or respectful. I don't like the ad hominem attacks.
I could respond in kind.
You can say what you like about me. I don't care.
I think that I'm above that. I'm not going to do that, Piers. That's not who I am.
I don't understand why you're playing the victim card when you yourself mentioned cancel culture.
Because Piers. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. Let me do this.
What are you going to do? Read out my team's messages to you?
Piers? It should be embarrassing. Yeah, I can read out the team messages to you because I just think it's completely unfair, and you know that. I'm prepared to answer your question, and then I'm going to move on. I told you I'm prepared to talk about Charlie Kirk's death, the response to it, and cancel culture, and and freedom of the press, and freedom of speech.
You were prepared to talk about cancel culture, or you weren't?
No. I'm not prepared.
You're not prepared to talk about
cancel culture. But that has, oh my God, Piers, could you stop interrupting me?
Not really. You're kind of exhausting me. It's ridiculous. Why would you react this way to a perfectly normal? Obviously, if you mention cancel culture, obviously it's rational and logical that I would ask you whether you felt what happened to you at CNN was that I played the clip and then you throw it in. I've given you a moment. Enough. I've given you your moment. I don't want a moment.
This is going to go viral. So please,
I don't want a moment.
Yes, you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't do this. Otherwise, you would be a respectful journalist and host. And
I don't think I'll take lectures on being a respectful journalist
because you want a moment. Oh my gosh, Piers.
I won't.
I can't even hear because there's a delay and you keep talking. And I mean, what do you want me to do? Like rip the earpiece out of the mic and run off so you have a moment?
No, I don't care.
Are you going to let me answer the question? Are you just going to keep pillaring me with questions?
I don't know why you've gone on this weird rant. I don't understand any of it. Why have you done this weird reaction? I simply asked you about whether you felt your departure from CNN was, in your eyes, an example of cancel culture. I played the clip,
Piers,
and I then said, when you watch it back, do you really understand what you were saying?
This is why I don't do this, but you're embarrassing yourself, Piers.
Actually, you might be embarrassing yourself, Don.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, you might be. Have you thought of that?
Okay.
You're a journalist. You don't want to talk about a story, a massive story that involved you?
Piers, can we move on? You let me answer the question, and then we can talk about the things that you invited me on.
Why don't you just answer the question to start with?
And we've gotten so far away from what you wanted me to answer that we're off into La La Land. So let me say something about that. The clip that you played had nothing to do with me leaving CNN. Okay, and unless you know something that I don't know about me leaving CNN, then you should tell me about it. It had nothing to do. I worked there for months after that, so that had nothing to do with it. And so and I forget the other thing that you were asking me about in that clip. But
I asked you when you watched the clip back, if you could explain what was going through your mind. That's all.
Thank you. I think the key phrases in that clip, if you want to be honest, and I want you to listen to it, is that I'm not saying that I believe that. That's not according to me. What I was speaking for there is how society treats women. And someone like Nikki Haley should know if women have been discriminated against for centuries, she should be more careful than to say something that discriminates against older people. That's it. And so people took that out of context. No one puts in whenever they write about it that I said, I'm not saying that. I don't believe that. I said that very clearly there. So that is not the reason that I was let go from CNN. And so again, unless you know something, then, go ahead.
I think that's one of the reasons. I think the other reason is this Vivek thing. I'm trying to find what he said about Vivek Ramaswamy. I know it's something about Vivek, I think.
You know, it was widely reported that was. So what was the reason?
Don't believe everything you read.
What was the reason?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
But it all happened after that incident. You know that?
Yeah. Well, Piers, everything happens after something. I don't understand what your point is.
Well, my point is, I think it's quite newsworthy. If you say it had nothing to do with that, then it'll raise the obvious question.
I don't think it's newsworthy, Piers. That was 3 years ago.
Right.
It's not newsworthy. News means something that's new. This isn't new.
Right.
That was 3 years ago. That's
okay,
been all litigated.
It's the first time
about it. You are free to be able to read the interviews that I read. You're free to read the statement that perhaps your folks should pull up the statement when I left CNN, and that can explain to you what happened. So this is nothing new.
You just told me you've no idea why you were let go.
I'm doing something completely different, and so that's that.
Right, but you just said you've no idea why they got rid of you.
Yeah, I did.
So how do you know it wasn't to do with the clip you just played?
I just said that. I just answered your question. Now, what else do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about, Don?
The subjects that you invited me on to discuss, Piers.
I thought that included free speech and everything around that.
I know you're loving this viral moment. I just think that you're embarrassing yourself.
I don't think you understand me at all. I don't got nothing against you at all. Never have had. I was perfectly...
I see why a lot of these people that have these talking points and this woe is me talking points, I see why they never go out of their safe space and talk to somebody else. Because you see, like when they get around other people and they can't control the narrative, they look weird. And this man is melting down over a simple little question. This was a very simple question. I don't know what he's having a problem with. I don't know why he's acting all crazy, but you were canceled. The same stuff that you're arguing about, you were canceled by the left for something that you said that should not even have been that offensive, because you, like you said, you can Google it. And I think you was canceled for this Vivek thing too. But you were canceled nevertheless. So you should be happy. You know, cancel culture is thriving, and you were one of the guys that was a victim of it.
I don't understand you, Piers. I worked with you for years. I know more about you probably than most people who are watching this program, and a lot of the people who are working with you.
Why would I
worked with your staff. I inherited your staff at CNN. I know way more about you than I would care to know. I know way more about how you do business and how you approach journalism than I care to know. I've not been on anyone else's show. I don't want to be on anybody's show. I don't want to do panel shows. I don't want to argue with people about things that are inconsequential. What we should be talking about right now is how to keep what happened to Charlie Kirk from happening to anybody else. That's where the conversation should be. But instead, you're trying to get a moment. You're trying to make some news out of something, but go ahead, have your fun. But we should be discussing something that is productive to the American people instead of you going into the garbage and trying to find something that will, give you a moment, or that you will, get a click out of it or more viewers for your program.
You sound very bitter, Don.
Piers, are you kidding me?
No.
Bitter. I'm the happiest go lucky person ever. I'm just exposing your hypocrisy and how you lied to me about what you wanted to discuss.
I've never talked to you about this interview at all.
You don't have conversations with your producers? So your producers lied to me, or you're not that involved in...
You've admitted one of the subjects we wanted to talk to you about.
You're not that involved in the editorial process of your own show, where they don't convey to you
by your own admission
what you are...
You know what, Don?
What the guest is going to talk about on the program?
You obviously expected
Are you not that involved in the editorial process of your own show that you don't know that?
You've already admitted that one of the subjects was free speech. And yet here you are getting enraged about me exercising my right to free speech to ask you a few questions.
Piers, I'm not enraged. I'm not enraged at all.
Well, this ain't enraged. I hate to see you enraged, boy. Yeah, I'd hate to see you turn up, because you loud, you aggressive, you say you don't want to argue, but you're the one who pushing the narrative that it's an argument. You the one keep objecting to everything. You just admitted that you got canceled, but you thought it was okay to say it's from the right. As soon as you got any pushback, you went crazy. Since you saw this clip, you've been doing nothing but saying all kind of BS. I know about you. I know about your organization. I know about your staff. I inherited your staff. And you lost the staff too when they fired your ass. So he just asked you a simple question, and you going crazy.
I think this is kind of funny. I'm not enraged at all. I mean, it's kind of exactly what I thought, like, hey, I don't want to go on the Piers Morgan show because of the spectacle of it all. And so that's confirmation of that. But I'm glad you got this moment. This is a moment for me as well. That's going to play out on social media. It's going to be good for me too. So go for it.
What moment do you think we've got?
I don't think no moments have been playing out for you good lately. You walked up on somebody on the street in Chicago or somewhere, and the dude told you he couldn't stand you. He said he thought you was an asshole, a jerk off. So you walking up on people in real time with a microphone. That dude went off on you. So I don't know what this dude is thinking, but he don't know how to read the room. People really don't like this guy. And it ain't because he's a bad person. It's just because he lies so much. He don't tell the truth. He's always lying. White men are the worst men in the world. This and that. And then you go watch a white man draws every other night. White men are the dangerous men in the world, but you kissing them on your honeymoon. Nah, it don't make sense. You're doing more than that. But you would think you'd have you'd be dating a nigga that looked like a Hakeem Rockman or something, a big African looking motherfucker. You know? But no, you got a white man. The man that you claim is so dangerous and a terrorist and a threat, that's who you got. Don't make sense. You're a hypocrite.
Piers, come on.
Come on. I don't know what you mean.
Come on, let's do something that's more productive than this.
Well, look, honestly, when you do this, when you say that I'm into journalism, and you do this, or like it's not journalism, you've taken a big high moral ground
Piers,
about. Hang on, I'll ask you a question.
I am taking a high ground. Piers, you should know better than anyone where this conversation should be going, especially since you understand what happened at CNN with you, gun control in the United States.
Yeah.
That was.
White men are the worst men in the world, says Don Lemon. Until he found this guy, the apple of his eye. The apple of his eye. All these people get up here and talk so much trash about white men. But I guarantee when them white men close that door and lock it, they get them back, boy. If I was white, I'll get you back. If you were talking all that shit, ooh, I'll give you a hard time, boy. I'm talking about, ooh, not Don Lemon, but I'm talking about them women that be talking shit. Ilya Omar, if you was talking shit and I was a white man, you get a hard time fucking with me. I know where to get you back at. And that's what these people are doing. They probably sitting back laughing like a motherfucker. Yeah, okay. I'm a devil? Okay, I'm gonna bring the devil out tonight. That's what they saying. These people are crazy. Chris Wilbur, you up out of here. Get you up out of here. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. But yeah, that's where they getting these people back.
A big thing for you when you were at CNN, and I'm not sure what happened, if that was part of the reason that you were let go. But hey, Piers, this is Don Lemon. I know you. I've worked with you. I know a lot about you. So let's just move on and be adults. And so let's talk about, I think, something that would be important to you, and that is sensible gun legislation in the United States that would have perhaps prevented the untimely and sad death of Charlie Kirk. Can we do that?
How would it have prevented it happening?
Why don't you tell me? Because you are an expert on the subject. At least you.
Wait a minute. So can you do that? Can you bring something up and say, why don't we do this, and that? And then someone say, why would you suggest that? Did you do your research? And you go, you tell me. No, you tell us. You the one brought it up. Gun control ain't going to do a dang thing, fool. You know why? The person who's going to unalive somebody has already set in their mind that they're about to commit a crime. Do you think they're going to take a second step to think about whether it's against the law to have the gun, and they're thinking about unaliving somebody? I don't think they're going to give a damn about whether it's a legal gun, not a legal gun. They're just going to unalive somebody. Like, I don't understand this point. Gun control only affects the people who are trying to live by the law. The people who are not living by the law, unaliving people, that's just one more charge you just add to the goddamn sentence. That's all it is. You're going to make more people that are law-abiding citizens have to move around this country unsafe. That's it. That's stupid, Don. That's why you didn't have an answer for it.
bad death of Charlie Kirk. Can we do that?
How would it have prevented it happening?
Why don't you tell me? Because you are an expert on the subject. At least you were when you were working at CNN. You were very pro gun legislation, and I believe, if correct me if I'm wrong, pro gun control.
Yeah, I don't understand how you stop a deranged young man who the investigators say has become radicalized to the left from taking his grandfather's old rifle and using it to fire one bullet that kills Charlie Kirk. If you can think of a legislation that would
I think you just answered that. You said your grandfather's old rifle.
Right.
So look, perhaps it should have been in a safer place. Perhaps
Would you know where it was?
There should be rules. Hang on. There should be rules as it relates to young people in the house who can have possession of guns. There are a whole lot of things that we can talk about as it relates to sensible gun control and rules and laws around guns. And so, I don't know the circumstances in his home. I do know that it was a conservative MAGA family, a gun-loving family. And so perhaps if we didn't have more guns than people in the United States and our gun laws weren't so lax, perhaps we could prevent a whole lot of these deaths. You're in the UK, all over Europe, all over different continents, and
all these people that always think they want to criminalize everything. That somebody gets stabbed with a fork, you're gonna criminalize forks. We got to make sure forks are not so sharp. You got to make sure the edges are flat. Can we go back to wooden forks so nobody can get punctured? If they use goddamn plastic, can we get rid of plastic for it? Like that's the type of person he is. And why don't you stop the rhetoric that you're saying on camera when you're calling people dictators and Hitler and all the things that y'all are saying? It's the words. If you make actionable words and you say certain things and somebody get it in their mind to unalive somebody, it don't matter if they use a pebble or if they use a bullet. They're going to find a way to get it done if you pull on their heartstrings the way that y'all do. Y'all continuously pull on people's heartstrings and then wonder why everything happened and blame something that sits there. This phone, I can leave it here, forget it in this hotel, leave it flat, and it doesn't bother nobody. It can be a phone or a weapon. If I throw it at somebody, this phone becomes a weapon. So a gun can be a paperweight or it can be a weapon. It can be multiple things. It's whatever you use it for. It can be protection or you can be the aggressor. It's all about the intent. So Don, you can't do nothing about that, buddy. Only thing you can do is stop the bullshit rhetoric that y'all are doing in the media.
And different countries in the world, everybody has mental health issues. Everyone has problems. But you know what they don't have? As easy access to guns as Americans do, and as many guns as Americans do. And so that is the only difference in this. And so to me and to most sensible people in this country and all over the world, it seems to us and me that perhaps if we got a handle on that, we too could be like England. We too could be like Ireland. We too could be like Italy. We too could be like even countries that are not a part of Europe. We too could be that way.
And do you think that one of the reasons why this shooter killed Charlie Kirk was because he didn't like his opinions?
If what law enforcement said about if the text messages or if that all comes out in evidence and they are true, then yeah, I think he's given his reasons. I think he gave the reasons. He didn't like what Charlie Kirk stood for. He didn't like what he said. I don't believe that's a reason to kill anybody or shoot anyone. But if this is true, he has admitted to that.
Okay. And finally, Don, we started this, just to be fair. You said you don't like the way that the MAGA crowd have reacted to Charlie Kirk because they're doing it just for clicks and stuff about somebody's death. And yet
some of them. I said some of them. Okay. I said some of them, not all of them.
Which ones in particular are you thinking of?
Well, if you go back and watch the Don Lemon show on YouTube, or if you watch Don Lemon on social media, you will find I mentioned certain people, and you can find it there.
So you object to clickbaity headlines about people and death?
Do I object to what?
Clickbaiting headlines about people and death.
Not necessarily. I think that's part of our culture. I think it's part of our culture, and I think it's
is it something you ever do?
It is a byproduct, please. Of our siloed media. And I think people perhaps sometimes do it to get attention, whether it's right or whether it's wrong, but sometimes people do it to break through, whether that's right or wrong. It's just simply what it is.
Sure, but do you ever do it?
I don't think I do it to any more so than anyone else. I don't think I do it any more so than the Piers Morgan show or any other show that is based on YouTube.
I'm only curious because 2 weeks ago, you had a headline.
You have to do something
well,
that
2 weeks ago.
I'm not done talking yet, Piers. I'm not done talking yet, Piers. I didn't finish my statement. I say sometimes you have to do things to get people's attention so that they can click on something and to see if it is important.
Damn, I thought this was the Piers Morgan show. The man trying to control his panel. I'm not done talking yet. Damn.
Do it to any more so than anyone else. I don't think I do it any more so than the Piers Morgan show or any other show that is based on YouTube.
I'm only curious because 2 weeks ago, you had a headline.
You have to do something
well,
2
weeks ago.
I'm not done talking yet, Piers. I'm not done talking yet, Piers. I didn't finish my statement. I say sometimes you have to do things to get people's attention so that they can click on something and to see if it is important or not, and they can make up their own decision about if they want to continue on with the content.
I got it. That's the whole point of clickbait. Yeah, you had a headline 2 weeks ago. Hot takes: could Donald Trump be dying?
Yeah, a lot of folks did. I think you probably did a show on that as well.
No, I didn't. And
because people were asking, if you look at even in some of the mainstream media, people were asking. Donald Trump's administration was not transparent about how sick he was during COVID, and so what leads people to believe that Donald Trump's administration is going to be transparent about what's happening with him now, about what's happening with his hands, about what's happening with his ankles,
let's just be clear. He's obviously
his health. He is the leader of the free world. People have the right, especially Americans, to know the health of their president.
He wasn't dying. You knew he wasn't dying. He's obviously not dying. And you were doing it for clickbait, which is the very thing.
I didn't say he was dying.
Everybody else
could Donald Trump be dying because people are asking if he's dying. That's it.
Got it.
I don't see that there's anything wrong with that.
Nope. Don Lemon, thank you very much.
Do you?
Yeah, we've run out of time, Don. You know what it's like in the news business.
Yeah. Thank you, Piers.
Thanks for coming on Uncensored.
I think Piers got his. I think Piers kicked his drawers in his behind. I don't know what y'all think. But I think he got his behind. He said, "This fool." I think he got his behind kicked. We got to find the video. Ticket TV talking about P. Diddy. Shout out to Ticket. I know Ticket was going crazy on this one because it don't look like they're gonna let Diddy out. I know he's going for time served. Oh, and Ticket got another one. Say he let me go for it. All right, so we right here at this part. Let me share the screen. Shout out to Ticket. Let me speed this up a bit. I don't know if they're gonna get it. Diddy's lawyers are filing all kind of motions trying to get time served, but they trying to lock this joke up.
They say that they have basically recommended that Diddy be sentenced to 5 times the average sentence for the Mann Act. Let me repeat myself again. The probation office has recommended that Sean P. Diddy Combs be sentenced to 5 times the recommended, 5 times the average, 5 times the average Mann Act conviction. The probation, so you can see it right here, it's in the paperwork. Diddy's lawyers wrote this. Now you guys can all read this right here. And I'll start from the third line. It says, accordingly, Supreme Court justices from across the ideological spectrum and many other jurists, lawyers, and commentators have opined that using acquitted conduct to enhance the sentence violates the 5th and 6th Amendments, as well as fundamental principles of fairness and justice. This is Diddy's lawyers writing this, and they revealed what the probation office recommended, and they came with the hammer on Diddy. It also erodes the perceived fairness of the criminal justice system. Indeed, the women on the street would be quite taken aback to learn that a person's sentence could be increased based on acquitted conduct, right? Well, here's the thing. Diddy's lawyers are cherry picking when they say acquitted conduct because the RICO was acquitted. That means that they're saying it wasn't an organized criminal organization, but not the beatings, not the abuse, not the coercion. They all put that on Diddy. So not only was Diddy charged with a RICO, he was individually charged with those charges. And Diddy's lawyers are trying to make it seem like, oh no, all that was acquitted. No, it wasn't. He got acquitted with that with the Mann Act. Because even if it was just the Mann Act, they're saying he was violent. And then let's read the next line where it's in pink, y'all, because this is where they reveal the worst. And they know Diddy's going down. It says, yet both the probation office and the government asked the court to do just that. So the probation office, you guys, and the government said they were going to hammer Diddy with a major prison time. And the probation office seems to agree with the government on Diddy's prison time. I told y'all they were going to hit this nigga with a hammer. And so read the green part. This is Diddy's lawyer saying this now. The pink part, once again, Diddy's lawyer said that not only do the government, but also the probation office who gives their sentencing recommendation to Sean Diddy Combs have both came and laid the hammer to Diddy. But right now, the probation office, right? Now, Judge Submaranian just had a different case, right?
Now, this is what they're suggesting. That's not necessarily meaning that's the time that they're going to get. This is what they want. But Diddy's lawyers are already filing motions to try to get time served. So we're going to see what happens. But this is what they want. But it's ultimately up to the judge now.
And in that case, he agreed with the probation office's recommendation. The probation office recommended like 70 months for one of the persons that he just convicted. And he agreed with the probation office and sentenced that person to 70 months. Well, in this case, Diddy's lawyers are crying from their filing last night that yet the probation office and the government asked the court to do just that. Now, here's the problem that Diddy's lawyers are going to have once again, and I'm telling you, this is going to happen in court. The RICO was organized crime. Sex trafficking is its own entity. But the Mann Act, they're going to say, bro, we got evidence that you inflicted violence from testimony of the prostitutes. They even have prostitutes saying as well that Diddy had a weapon and that he threatened to use it on one of the prostitutes, but he didn't say that in court. He said that in an interview, but still, they have evidence that Diddy beat these women during these free calls. And that right there will show violence, coercion, the things the judge talked about when he denied Diddy's bail again. Remember when the judge denied Diddy's bail the last time? He said there's still evidence of coercion, all this. There's no amount of money that will free your ass. That's because he get ready to hit this nigga with the guy daggone sonic boom. He finna sit down. He ain't finna get out. Everybody thought he was gonna get out. Everybody thought he was gonna go to cookout on 4th of July. You might not see this nigga until what year we in? 25? Yeah, you might not see Diddy in the 30 till 37, 38. Yeah, you might not see him to 37, 38 after they get finished with his ass. Now let's read the green part, y'all. Let's read the green part. So it says, this is Diddy's lawyers writing this last night. They were so upset, bro. Probation recommends guidelines, the probation office, enhancements based on acquitted conduct, they say, and the imposition of a sentence 5 times longer than the average sentence for the Mann Act. Defendants with similar criminal histories and justifies his lengthy sentence based on a supported fraud and coercion that the jury rejected. No, the jury didn't reject fraud and coercion. They rejected the RICO and sex trafficking. They didn't reject fraud and coercion. This is where Diddy's lawyers know they're going to get their ass whammed up. And I told you guys, they're going to nail his ass, bro. So the average sentence for the Mann Act, you guys, is 2 to 5 years. Now you do the math. So let's go in between 2 to 5 years. How much is in between 2 to 5, y'all? We'll say in between 2 to 5 is what? 3.5, right? 3.5 is in between, right? So let's do 3.5 times 5. What's that, y'all? 3.5 plus 3.5 is 7, right? I want y'all to think about this. That's 7, right? If we actually say we're going down the middle, right? Plus another 7, that'll be 4 times. That's 14 years. Plus another 3.5. That's 15, 16, 17 and a half years in prison. Plus a probably probation period of 2 or 3 years when he's finished. Or the judge might say, I give you 14 years in prison and you do the rest 3.5 in probation. Bro, he's toast. I told these people, and mofos came to me, and that's damn near a life sentence for Sean Diddy Combs. If he got to go sit down for damn near 20 years right now, it's over with. The man is 57 years old. Y'all seen what happened with OJ? OJ got out, had about six years, and it was over with. Straight up, and OJ didn't even do. OJ did like 8 years. And I told everybody, they didn't want to listen to me. Hey man, Diddy go home. What you gonna say, nigga? He gonna get time, sir. All these capping ass niggas that don't know nothing, nigga. Like I said, niggas with oversized t-shirts and stuff on, dress shirts and stuff on, looking crazy as hell, man. These dudes is clowns. These dudes is clowns, bro. And they gonna get exposed, man, heavily, bro. They're gonna get exposed heavily, bro. And I'm just telling y'all what the deal is, man. And
so how much time y'all think he gonna get? I still don't think he gonna get a lot of time. Maybe a couple years at best. With time served for the 14 months. Because as we speak, his attorneys, shout out to Ticket, as we speak, his attorneys are doing this.
Is pushing for a near immediate release from prison as he awaits sentencing. In a new court filing, his lawyers argued that since Combs was acquitted of the most serious sex trafficking charges, he should face a much lighter punishment than the more than 7 years recommended by probation officials. The sentencing memo says Diddy has already endured harsh conditions.
Damn, they trying to do 7 years? Holy majority, they want 7 out of Diddy. Remember, Deanna Preston, member for 40 months. They want 7 years out of P. Diddy.
During his year at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. His attorneys claim he's been on constant suicide watch, had limited access to clean water, and was often served food that was not healthy or edible. They argue that under those circumstances, his time behind bars has been far more punitive than the typical sentence of similar offenses. The filing includes more than 75 letters of support from family, friends, and colleagues, among them his mother, his children, and even ex-girlfriend, Young Miami. His lawyers say Combs has made the most of his time in custody, sought treatment, and shown marked improvement in his behavior. But the disgraced music mogul still faces serious consequences. Back in July, he was convicted of 2 counts of prostitution, each carrying up to 10 years in prison. During that trial, jurors heard emotional testimony from several women, including ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, who accused him of abuse and assault. Combs' sentencing is scheduled for October 3rd, and beyond the criminal case, he continues to fight dozens of civil lawsuits from men and women accusing him of sexual misconduct and other illegal activity. Allegations.
Yeah, these people getting sexual assault situations with men and women. So listen, y'all, that's my time. I appreciate everybody who super chatted. I'm about to get up out of this thing for a few hours. I'll be back later on tonight. Appreciate y'all, man. I'm up out of this thing. I'm gone.